So, Honkai Star Rail, one of the most popular gacha games to date. How good is it? Actually, how horrible is it? Well, to determine that, I'll divide the game into multiple parts or aspects and then go deeper into detail on each of them. So, clap clap. Let's start with the story. It's a bit messy, but good at the same time. The very cut down summary goes like this. You're woken from your deep slumber by a hot woman. She soon leaves you. As they do, then you meet a group of people who help for free to defeat the bad people attacking the place. They're like the Guardians of the Galaxy, but less cool. Aside of all, after you beat the big bad, you go on a journey with them across the universe to, trailblaze, whatever that means, and save or protect other planets. Now, guess what your name is? Now that we got a very short summary out of the way, I'll be talking about the story as a whole. This game is very story-rich. We're now at the 5th installment of the main story, and the duration of all the quests combined is definitely over 50 hours, probably closer to 100. If we are counting the side quests, then it's probably, or for sure, over 200 hours I believe. So the game is not short, and has a lot of it besides its endgame content, and the usual min-maxing characters. It does allow you to get very invested in what the world has to offer. But is the story actually good? That is more so subjective. I personally think it's just okay right now. What I can actually talk about is the writing and delivery. In short, they both have problems. I'll primarily talk about the bad because it's easier to notice the bad than the good. So consider what I talk about to be good. To begin, with a good thing actually, the characters. The thing that brings them money. They're very well rounded up and fit into the story and universe. I don't know how much you can attribute that to the fact that the way they created the universe basically allows for everything to exist and not look out of place, but they are still good. They are nicely inserted into the storyline, the side of adventuring, and presented enough so that you understand them but not know everything about them. Again, a side of adventuring. He is such an anomaly in the story, at least for me. He was in a limbo of good and bad, like, he's friendly, but oh, he has some mysterious motives. Is he bad? Is he the antagonist? No, yes, maybe. It's just like a random lucky guy. But returning to the main point, if you feel like you wanna know more, you can always go into the character tab on here, to information, and here you can find more about them. By clicking on their story, you can see more about their story, and here on voice you have their thoughts on different things, different characters, or interactions with other characters when placed into the same team. So yeah, the characters are okay, but that's enough good. Now let's go to the bad, and that is the pacing. It sucks. The first two parts of the story were fine, at least from what I remember, because it's been more than a year and a half since I've done those parts, and they're basically the introduction, so I'm more forgiving. But later parts of the story drop the bar. Aside of needless exposure and information that is not needed for the story to progress, or just is relevant, there's also a bunch of dragging on and beating around the bush. If you get into a dialogue segment and it lasts, let's say, 10 minutes, that very same dialogue could be summarized in about 4 minutes max, still in the form of dialogue. And this is made even worse by the dialogue locks that are in place, which we'll talk about in the delivery segment. The delays mid-progression are even worse. And I'm not talking about the account level requirement for progression. In fact, in this game I think you can raise your account level the fastest of all the gacha games I've played. I got to the max level in, I don't know, maybe a month. After really playing the game, you get most of your XP from dailies, but we'll get to that a bit later. Anyway, back to what we were talking about, the delays. I'm talking about the fact that in the middle of a quest you might be told to go talk to a bunch of people so that you get some information. You sometimes have to do puzzles like matching some things or moving something, which is kinda annoying when you're really invested, but at the same time they have to make sure you're not bored and make your brain do something so that you don't think, oh, the story was so boring you did nothing. The worst of the delays is the big tangents. Sometimes you are moved to a different perspective, which again would be good if it was a mostly filler. The extra 5 minutes of relevant information gotten is not worth the half hour plus of puzzles they put in there, but you sometimes are not even moved to another perspective, and you're just made to go through a bunch of puzzles for seemingly no reason, only to have a bit of a reward at the end. Such a thing happened in the 3.0 story, which is the latest chapter that is. I'm furious. Where should I go? Let's go here. This part of the story annoyed the shit out of me. Well, if you don't get into the story of the game in like the first, let's say, 20 hours, you are not gonna reach this place, and that is good for your health. It annoyed the shit out of me. There are also a few issues with the black screen and white text that I've seen the community hate, and I don't know if they fix that. You'd just be talking to some people and then it fades to black and some text on screen tells you what happened. I think the devs said they'll do something about it, but I'm not sure. I'm also not bothered by it because I think of gacha game stories as visual novels, because they're basically glorified visual novels, especially the 2D ones. You interact more with everything in the 3D ones, so a bit hard to make that comparison. Let's get a different team. Classic. Well, let's now move to the next point, and that was delivery. It is also lacking, at least in terms of displaying. And I'm not talking about voice acting. What I mean is when in a dialogue or talking to characters, the camera is lacking effects to make the whole composition higher quality. The characters look edited into the scene, they don't blend in very well, especially in darker environments. Like this, you see the characters stand out a bit from the background, a bit more from the background. There's not much shading going on, you have like a bit of shadow on the character, and that's it, just one layer. So you see, something is off. I don't think the models are really affected by light, so that is probably why. But the design of the characters is also very saturated to make them stand out. Not in the scene specifically, but in general, to make them catch your attention more and pull for them. Especially that group over there. What effects I think would do good to just make everything look better are depth of field, color correction, and are personally add a bit more bloom too. Does this game even have ambient occlusion? Ray tracing would also be quite good, everything looks kinda washed out. Bouncing lighting would be quite beneficial, especially because of the characters. They should also make dedicated camera settings for each interaction and more camera movement with better positioning. All the issues that I had are pretty much done with in the cutscenes, at least the pre-rendered ones, not the in-game ones, so the ones from Pinocchio forward, kinda late in the game. That is the fourth part of the story. Oh yeah, the cutscenes are great indeed, as I said the later ones even more so, but they are very short and not many of them. Just having more and longer ones would make the experience a lot better. Maybe use them instead of those tangents, you know, kill two birds with one stone. Yeah, they won't do that. Next, well, what are the cutscenes? Animations. What also sucks in this game? Animations. Similar to Genshin, this game has like 10 or less animations available to convey emotions or actions. They are bad and get repetitive very fast. And there is no excuse for there not to be more. They have the money, they can hire more animators to work on them if the ones they have don't know how to. Some idiots would be like, but that would add to the install size. Of course everything adds to the size of the game. But guess fucking what, idiot? Animations are not character specific. I'm pretty sure they're made with skeletons, which means they should be able to fit more than 10 in like 1 megabyte, if they have at least one functioning brain. But I don't know how Unity does animations. And the last very annoying part of the game, I'd say more so than the other ones, because you can kind of gloss over them if you like, because graphics are not everything and you care more for the story itself. That is, the dialogues themselves have fixed time. So for a period of time, while the characters speak to each other or do their shit animations, you're not allowed to move on to the next line. This mainly sticks to main quest dialogue or voiced dialogue. Side stuff is fine, but still if you're a fast reader you're fucked. You're gonna need to read the text 3 times to keep yourself entertained. Also pair this with the fact that there's no skip button, so you're forced to sit through all those hours and hours of text. You're gonna enjoy it, for sure. Quite a lot about the story now. Now let's get to the gameplay. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, that is up to you to decide. Well, this game follows the turn-based RPG mechanic. As usual, you interact with an enemy anyway, you're put in a battle, they have some units, you have some units, and you fight each other. Each one taking turns, of course, it's in the name, turn-based. Aside of combat, you can activate certain talents, as they're called, which either give you buffs or are used to attack the enemy. The ones that are used to attack the enemy initiate combat and apply certain debuffs on the enemy. Depending on what they are, they might not apply debuffs and they do only damage. In our case, we'll fight these two people. We're probably just gonna instantly kill both of them if you use the talent, so actually I'm gonna show you that. This is quite an overpowered talent though, so not all characters have this, or on the same scale. This guy revives. Not an insta-kill. Will be, however. We'll go in another battle to showcase exactly what this system entails. Okay, so new enemies. Find them, kill them. Get into combat. Now there's a lot on the interface. Let's start with the Abyss. Here on the left, you have your normal attack, and your special attack, that being a skill. Using a skill uses one of your skill points, of which you start with 3. Using a normal attack gives you a skill point. Here on the left you have your characters and their ultimates if they have one ready, or showcasing how much energy they have and how much they need until they can activate their ult. Here on the top left you have the order of turns, which can be changed if one of your characters has some speed improvement buff or just makes another character instantly attack. Now, skills are either damage dealing or buffs, the usual. There's a wide variety of buffs. Same for attacks, they might be single target, they might be multi-target, they might not hit specific enemies, like this one. There's a pretty random chance of what this guy's DMC's skill will hit. It depends on a per character basis. You'll find out when you look at the characters. I'm not gonna explain everything to you, we're gonna pick that up as you go. Returning to the basics, the enemies also have a weakness bar or shield bar, whatever you want to call it. It's not the same thing the game calls a shield, because shields in this game protect your health. That does not protect your health or the enemy's health, specifically because you don't have a weakness bar that, after being broken by someone of the same attribute, as you see up here, it has a green and a yellow symbol. Our character right here has the same attribute, which means that he can break that weakness bar. His attribute is imaginary and allows him to break what is yellow. Some characters can go past this and just break whatever kind of weakness the enemy has, but not all of them. They specifically stick what attribute they have, like the red one, which is fire, will break the ones of the enemies that have a red weakness or fire weakness. And it goes like this. After breaking the weakness, the enemy will have a debuff depending on what kind of weakness they have, and they will take more damage from attacks. This character I have here is one of the characters that can break an enemy's weakness even though they don't have that same attribute, but that only applies with using the ult. After using the ult, she can attack whatever kind of enemy and place that weakness on them, even if they don't have it, like so. And also break it at the same time. This one has a skill that buffs, that's it. And an ult that also buffs. And she's a healer. That's it. That's the gameplay. There's a few more intricacies to it, not that many though. At the base, this is what it's about. Each character has their own unique playstyle, so I can't give you a perfect overall look on how the gameplay looks like, because they change from team to team. I just gave you a rundown of the buttons and what to expect from what you see on screen. And you find these enemies basically randomly around the environments. But most of the times, at least after you finish the story, you are not gonna fight them. You're just gonna go past them and do whatever the fuck you want. What you are gonna do is either going over here and choose one of these, or one of these, or one of these, or one of these, or one of these, and fight. These prearranged fights give you materials for either upgrading your characters or their traces, or maybe skill trace would be a more common definition, and the weapons, of course. This one that I'm doing right now is not any of that, it is actually for equipment. So as you see, we've got these two things because the other ones were deleted because I have a setting that does that. These things can be equipped on your characters to give them a boost in the stats that are written here. This one specifically made for Sunday, which I also have but I don't use. Maybe I should. Anyway, here's how the place looks in game. Let's go to you. Here's how the tab looks in game. You have the main equipment, which is in the outermost circle, and they are individual parts which each have different stats, either main stats or substats. They come in sets, so using the same set gives you a bonus. This one gives you break effect by using two pieces of it, that would be either helmet and boots, or helmet and chest piece, whatever kind of formation you want. And by using 4 pieces of them you get a better effect, which is also written here. You may sometimes wanna do 2 different sets on the same character depending on what the buff they have is, but most of the times you're gonna do a full 4-piece set. Then you have these other 2 ornaments, as they're called. They're basically the same thing, they're just another piece of equipment that gives you better stats, and they also have sets, which this one that I have here is explained here. Next, in terms of gameplay, there is the weekly resetting things or simulated universe, whatever kind you want to play. You have this one, this one, this one, and another one that is Divergent Universe, which is basically the same thing. The rewards reset weekly, so you're gonna get quite some rewards from them. That is all this you see here. This is currency used for getting characters. This is basically like condensed energy, which you can use to get specifically those ornaments that I talked about. This is one pool for the standard character. This is just the in-game money that you use to make normal transactions, not the important ones. This is the things you use to upgrade your equipment. This you can use to get weapons or to get an item that enhances that weapon. This thing right here is used to max out a certain skill. The gameplay of this one basically functions like a roguelike. You go in it, you fight some people, you get some buffs, you move on to the next stage and you fight more people. That is basically the concept of it. I'm not gonna show you that because it's not interesting enough. And lastly, in terms of gameplay, you basically have the endgame content. These things right here. All of these are not fun to play. They're engaging in the sense that you have to plan your moves and skill point usage. The most annoying thing about these is the power creeping that has reached insane levels. The newer characters are the best, and if you don't have them or the perfect team, you shouldn't expect to clear the last levels, at least not easily. The teams I've showed you were amazing for quite a long time, but now are outshined. Some power creeping is expected, but not to the extent that it has been ever since version 3.0 came out. I can barely clear the last level when prior to 3.0 I could fully complete it. There's 3 different versions, each one has their own quirks. Each one has their own preferred team archetype. Sometimes you want to use follow-up attackers, which is a team with characters that have a turn even though it's not their turn, basically. They use an attack between turns, or when something happens. You may want to use teams that focus on breaking weakness, which is that one shield I showed in the battle earlier, and there is also some damage over time teams that right now don't really function because whoever's kinda forgot about them. Is there anything else? Technically, there's like pure damage teams. Right now, after the 3.0 update, there's certain teams that are based on summons which are not specifically a new archetype in the game, but technically they are. So you go in here, you select your teams, preferably using the recommended attribute, and choose a buff based on what kind of team you have. This is the same for Apocalyptic Shadow, but not the same for Memory of Chaos, which gives you a specific buff that the developers choose. You have no choice. You have to do what they want. In this one, the combat is basically as I said before, but now it's not a roguelike or like just a boss fight or sequence of fighting where you don't get any more buffs. You don't need me to tell you about this. You can find out about it if you play the game, if you're interested. Next, let's talk about the rewards. First of all, the most common are the dailies, which are these things right here. I showed them to you before. You have to basically complete missions and they give you these points, which increase this bar right here, and then you get rewards based on how far you've gotten it. It's not hard to fill the bar, it's quite easily actually. If you do your daily routine, you can finish it pretty much with that. You just log into the game, go do this, and then fight something, preferably spending your energy. Next, of course, the battle pass. No respected game has no battle pass. This lasts for the span of a patch, and the rewards are not the greatest, but you are getting some things which will make your progression or advancement easier. And 3 polls for the standard banner. You unlock the levels or you progress in the battle pass by completing these quests. Some of them reset weekly, some of them reset each patch because the battle pass itself lasts a whole patch. These are usually related to events or goals or endgame content. So you got what I told you about, upgrade materials and money. You can also buy the battle pass and you get some better weapons and more rewards. The rewards are not really that much better, they're just special pulls that you have for limited units. Most of the time there's just this. And then you have this, You can also buy the battle pass and get more rewards, among which better weapons and better pulls, and some other things that are not that important. Next we have the weekly battles as I showed you before, the simulated and divergent universe. I've already showed you the rewards you're given for them, so I'm not gonna go over that again. You get about 225 jades, I believe. And aside of that, of course, the endgame content that I talked about, again, you get about 800 per each game mode, which at least one of them I think resets each patch, so in total per patch you get about 3200 or 20 pulls. The other rewards are not really important. The stellar jades are what you're gonna center yourself around. Everything else is mostly filler. There's also those puzzles that I talked about, but I can't really show them to you because I've finished most of them. They're mostly just moving things around, fitting them into places, and completing whatever they're telling you to. That's what puzzles are, of course. Maybe I can put something on screen to show you what they are about, at least some of them. I found one, and it's this thing which you have to create the design that is here by putting these squares wherever you find them fit. Now let's see if I'm smart enough to do it. I am indeed. And they give you rewards like that. Some of them might give you the rewards directly in your inventory, let's say, but this one opened the chest, or at least made the chest appear. Oh, there is one, I found the chest. So just get around the world, you can find them pretty easily, they're not hidden, but they might be locked behind some puzzles that you have to finish to get access to them. Oh look, another puzzle. And the bridge just fell, so I think we have a platform to go there. We have to finish this thing and get to this point right here in this set amount of moves. Now I don't remember how to do this. I can go down here. Oh, so in this amount of moves, as it says here, another version of you will appear, with which if you collide, you are gonna fucking die. So I have to finish whatever is happening here by the time that thing appears. Fuck. Oh, I got it now. So go here. God fucking damn it. Nope. What the fuck am I supposed to do this? I'm actually being beaten by a small puzzle. I see now. Got it. Fuck. What? Bro, what? Oh, that fucking damn. You go like this. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I got it. Well, you do that. You just have to find a way to do it. No, we don't need to do that because we have to get that chest. And we can get down if we don't have the bridge. May be able to trigger it falling just by walking over it. Yep. Then we go down and then we will be able to get a chest. Yep. There. So that's basically the rewards that you can get by just exploring. The only thing I can think of that is left is the events, but that is besides the achievements. Where are they? I forgot where the fuck are the achievements? Oh, blind. Okay, so you have these achievements that you can unlock as you play the game. They don't give you that many jades, but they're a good addition to what you can get, like that. Most of them are 5, some of them are 10, some of them are 15, I think I saw. My game's stupid. They might just be 5 and 10, but either way they're a good source of extra income. The last thing, as I said, are the events, which differ from version to version. They're not the same, they usually don't repeat themselves, they might have recurring mechanics, but most of the time they're unique. And this patch's events are, because this is the anniversary patch, we have a specific anniversary event, a management minigame. It's not long to finish, it is fun for people that like it. I myself am not that big a fan. I like something more engaging than whatever this is. Same reason why I don't like turn-based games. Same reason why I'm gonna quit playing this game in not a long time. Probably after I finish this video I'm gonna quit the game, or maybe I'm gonna wait for Cypher. She's pretty nice. But mercy on myself. Anyway, let's show you what this minigame is about. Actually, I don't know what to show you. So you basically unlock these stands where you can place characters that are in the game, of course, and they'll make money with which you can complete challenges and get more stands and fucking get more money. Fuck am I supposed to tell you about? It's just typical like tycoon game. Make money, get more things to get more money, and you complete stuff. You get rewards from that and put things in here. And after you finish this, you can continue playing if you want to get more money. It's not much to do after you get the main rewards, which are these, which I have already finished, as I said. Why do I say as I said so much? Kinda annoying, huh? Is this? Yeah, nothing. Next there is this minigame, which is I don't know how to explain it to you. We just play a short round to show you. Context is that actually there is no context. You just throw some seals at another person. Matchmaking game. For the purposes of this video, the name of the opponent will be censored. Why? Because why not? So you basically have some seals which have different effects, and you just shoot them and they deal damage. That's it. You know, I'm not really engaged. I don't think I'm gonna win this, but at the same time I don't really care about winning, more so care about finishing this faster. This might be a real person. I wouldn't put it past gacha game developers to create fake NPCs to put in multiplayer matches. Damn. Kill. Bonus round. Yeah. That was ass. Oh. Or maybe I should forfeit. Give me something to work with. 1 out, which makes this be 2 out, and then I'm dead. But I should get another turn now. Yep. And now we get 3 out in 1. 4 out actually. Okay, are we coming back? How can I win this? I remember if they were the first ones to... I can win. If I get this just right, I can win. I can win. Bam. Fuck. Please let me be the first. Yes! It's possible. It's possible. Hold on. Bam. Yes! Done it! Oh wait, that guy. I could have just killed the guy on the left. Oh well. Still a dub. Anyway, that's the gist of the big events. The normal ones use the turn-based gameplay. It's easier to create something that just links into that than a whole new gameplay mechanic. So these are just outliers in the sea of events. But this was more so a tangent. We were supposed to talk about the rewards, which are these, depending on the size of course. They may be big, they may be small, they may be medium. This one and the other one that I showed you are quite big events, so you are gonna get more rewards from these. But normally you don't get that many how do you say that? That fewer? But normally you don't get so much fewer, that many less. So it's fine. Oh yeah, and this thing I forgot to check. The mysterious letter from Kafka, of course, cause you know. Yeah, thank you very much. I like those stellar jades. Thank you very much. This is nothing I care about. Fuck off. Okay, so that's pretty much it with the rewards. In total per patch you can expect to get about maybe 100 pulls, depending on how much you play and what kind of content you finish. If you do quests, you may get more, you may get less. Let me actually Google it and see how much you get per patch usually, which is so yeah, about 100 plus pulls per patch. That is if you play the game normally. If you don't, you might still get about 10,000 jades by finishing the simulated or divergent universe, and maybe doing the dailies, doing the endgame content and It's okay even if you don't spend that much time on the game. What have we got left? Yeah, I have to finish telling you about the events. You know what, I'm just gonna read what I wrote here. This might cover some things I have not told you in what I explained before. So what I wrote here is they can last from 2 weeks to a whole patch, like 40 days. They're mainly story-based, expanding the story of something or someone. Gameplay-focused, giving you fun effects and making you fight people. And sometimes new gameplay mechanics that you'll only see for the duration of the event and never again. Even if they're fun because Hoyo doesn't like you. That's what I wrote. I pretty much covered everything. Now let's do something that you might come to this game for because, of course, it's a gacha game, and that is polling. This part of this patch has Castoris as the limited character. There's also this banner which is special to the anniversary, so you might not see this later. You can choose between 3 5 stars that you want to pull for. Usually there's only one extra banner, that being only one limited 5-star on each part of a patch. But because this is the anniversary, they wanted to get more characters out. Probably because of money. Yeah, they probably just wanted money. If there are more characters out, that means people are gonna spend more money trying to get all of them, because they also did some other kind of event where if you spend more money on the game, you get more rewards. So that also brings the incentive to spend more money on the game, so because you have a special occasion to get more rewards, and it's a bit of a scummy move, just make people want to get all these characters at the same time, not give them time to prepare their pulls with multiple versions. Yeah, it's a bit annoying, but what can you do? You can't really tell MiHoYo what to do, because they're just gonna do what they want. But that's it with the banners. You can see the characters that are featured right here. Next in line there is the weapon banner. In this game, weapons are called light cones. This one is specific, or the best in slot, for casters, and these are the ones for the previous 3 characters that I showed you. And next, the last one is the standard banner, which has a few characters, I think there are 7, that don't really change that much, and they're also they're mostly weaker than the limited characters, so they're kinda useless. But through them you have the chance to get some Lycons, and these things right here, which you can use to get more limited pulls, like that. There's also this, not this, this is a special to dispatch, and you can basically get a free 5-star if you play the game in this version 3.2, I think we were. Recommend Ruan May because she's the best in all this. In here there's also the Embers Exchange, which monthly refreshes with 5 pulls of each type, and Tracks of Destiny, which lets you max out a part of the skill tree. These banners function on something called Pity, which is, let's put it like this. In general, you have a 0.6%. Generally, you have 0.6% chance of getting a character, a 5-star character, the ones that you actually want to get. You have that percent for 70 chances. So if you do 70 pulls, wishes, whatever you want to call them, and you don't get a 5-star, then that chance increases. I don't know the exact percentage with which it increases, but it does increase, and you are guaranteed to get a 5-star within 90 pulls. But that 5-star is not guaranteed to be the one on the limited banner, like the one featured. In our case, that is Castris. We're not guaranteed to get Castris after doing 90 pulls, because there's a 50-50 chance that you get either the limited character or one of these standard character that I told you are not that great. So you'd prefer to get a limited character instead of those ones, of course. But if you get one of those standard characters, then the next 5-star you pull is gonna be the limited one. In my case here, I do not have a guaranteed limited 5-star. So it is a 50-50 chance for me to get either Castris or one of those standard banner characters. Am I gonna pull? Yes. But first we're gonna do this thing on the standard banner, which I don't know what kind of pity I have on here. Okay, so I have 50 pity. That means nothing. I might get a 5-star, I might not. We're still that 0.6% chance. Or was it 0.06? No, it's 0.6. So I have a 0.6 chance of getting a 5-star. Let's see if it goes somewhere. It does not. There is a way to determine whether or not you get a 5-star with each pull, and that is seeing if around that ticket that you saw fly, there's a rainbow hue. For this pull, there wasn't, so there's no 5-star. Also, when the train arrives, the purple light that you saw would turn yellow, signifying a 5-star. We don't have that, we have this. Let's pull on Castris, huh? That is not a 5-star. And I don't give a shit about it. Oh, Lynx. Seems like I don't have her max. I'm just gonna do 30 pulls, so I'm not real that into Castris. Maybe I should do more. I'm gonna do more. This one was not. Let's see this. Nothing. 30 pulls, nothing. Still at 0.6% chance. Nothing here either. Nothing here either. Should I continue? Should I not? I'm gonna do one more. And nothing on this one either. Now, I kinda wanna get Cypher, because I like how she looks, but I don't know. I really don't know. Castris is quite overpowered in at least this version. Maybe not going forward, but she's quite overpowered. Probably the best unit in the game if you have support for her. So I don't know if I want her. I don't like her design. I just want her because she's powerful. You know what? I'm not gonna do it. Or should I? Gacha games give you addiction, and that is not cool. So I'm just gonna stop. Oh, that loading was not good. Which brings me to another point, or the last point I have to say here, that is performance and graphics of the game. The scene compositions were kind of weird and bit ugly in certain cases. This game has some graphical settings, which are these right here. What I am using is basically the highest settings, aside of the rendering quality, which I have at 0.6 instead of 2, because 2 is a bit high and doesn't really change that much. So is the game intensive? Somewhat. On PC with a somewhat mid-range GPU you are pretty fine, even at 1440p. With my previous GPU, the 6600, I could do 1440p with pretty much everything on max, aside of this, which I was at 1.4 running like this. Was fine, doable, and the 6600 was basically an entry point, quote-unquote entry point GPU in 2020, I believe. So right now that is not the greatest GPU ever, but it still could run at 1440p, pretty much highest graphics, at 60 FPS that is. So the game is not very intensive on the graphics. On mobile, the things are different. Most modern phones are gonna have a chip that is strong enough to run it, but if we're comparing it to other games, like let's say Genshin, I believe Star Rail is somehow more intensive. And I don't know how. On my phone, which is kind of old, mid-range phone from 2018 I believe, it's running a Snapdragon 730 I believe. This game runs like shit. It's like maybe 30 FPS on the lowest settings, and I could run Genshin on somewhat low to medium settings at a stable 30. It's kind of weird considering Genshin is an open world game and Star Rail is a level based game. I don't really get what's happening, but okay. Even so, if you have like a mid-range phone from probably 2021 to now, you can run the game pretty well. It's not that intensive. Oh yeah, so the equivalent of the 6600 is the RTX 3060, pretty much. The 6600 is just a bit below it, but in general they're about the same, within the same performance bracket. So now let's do a comparison for graphics. For whatever reason, I'm a big slut for good graphics, so I'd like to showcase how they look on different... What? So I want to showcase how they look on different levels. Honestly, it pretty much looks the same on lowest graphics, just that you kind of want to turn this thing up to maybe 1.4 if it's possible, and still looks quite great. Not losing much of the... I don't know if the effects are really affected, but you're not really losing that much of the visual fidelity. Looks pretty good even on the lowest. Now, from lowest to low, to medium, to high, and this is very high. And this is with the rendering quality turned to 2.0. Yeah, well, the biggest difference I see is the water looking quite a lot better, and the amount of NPCs, actors on the scene, being much higher than the previous settings. But still not that much of a visual improvement. I'd like to see more, especially I think this game would like ray tracing. Probably not gonna happen ever. Genshin would be the first to get that if any MiHoYo game would. Anyway, that's pretty much it, covering the whole of Star Rail, besides the story itself, because I'm not gonna get into the story. I do not give a shit about the story, I do not care for it, I don't wanna do that, no.